WWII's most powerful survival rule, and it wasn't gear. The rule that kept people alive in World War II wasn't hidden in a backpack or issued with a serial number. It lived in the mind. And once you hear it, you'll never look at survival the same way again. So, if you want more buried truths like this unearthed every week, hit subscribe and walk this road with us. This is one of those rules that sounds simple, almost boring, until you realize it quietly separated the living from the lost. In a war obsessed with equipment, weapons and supplies, the most powerful survival rule had nothing to do with gear at all. It was this: never break your routine. That's it. No steel, no rations, no gadgets, just routine. During World War II, soldiers, resistance members, prisoners and civilians learned, often the hard way, that chaos kills faster than hunger. When the world turns upside down, the first thing to go is structure. And when structure disappears, mistakes multiply. Those who survived learned to protect routine like a weapon. Gear can be lost. It can be stolen. It can freeze, rust, jam, or just run out. But you know routine doesn't. Veterans from multiple fronts noticed the same pattern. The people who unravelled first weren't always the weakest or the poorest equipped. They were the ones whose days just dissolved into disorder. Missed meals, irregular sleep, random movement. No plan for the next hour, let alone tomorrow. Routine anchored the mind when the body was under siege. It controlled fear, it reduced panic, and most importantly, it prevented small errors, the kind that get noticed, reported, or punished. In occupied towns and contested zones, survival depended on not standing out. People who lived followed patterns. They fetched water at the same time. They walked the same paths. They worked when others worked and rested when others rested. Breaking routine drew attention. A different route, a late appearance, a sudden change in behaviour. Those were red flags. Even enemy patrols learned to read disruption. A door opening at the wrong hour. Smoke rising at an odd time. Lights flicking on when they shouldn't. Routine was camouflage. Not blending in meant being remembered. Being remembered was dangerous. Food scarcity was brutal during the war, but survivors learned that how you eat matters as much as what you eat. Routine meals, even tiny ones, kept energy steady. Random eating caused crashes. Skipping meals led to bad decisions. Hoarding food for later often ended in overeating and sickness. The same rule applied to sleep. Those who slept whenever they could, without rhythm, lost track of time and awareness. Those who slept at set intervals, even short ones, maintained clarity. Routine preserved strength when calories and comfort were gone. Here's the part history doesn't always spell out. Routine gave people something the war tried to erase: identity. When everything else was stripped away, routine said, You are still you, a daily task, a repeated habit, a personal ritual. Shaving with no mirror, cleaning boots that would never shine, folding clothes even when living in ruins. These acts weren't pointless. They were psychological armor. People who abandoned routine began to feel temporary, disposable, already defeated. Those who kept it believed quietly that tomorrow still existed. In high-stress environments, the brain looks for shortcuts. That's when fingers slip. Words are misspoken. Doors are left unlatched. Routine turned actions into reflex. Check the same corner. Count the same steps. Store items in the same place. This mattered in blackouts, in air raids, in sudden evacuations. When alarms sounded, people with routines moved automatically. People without froze. World War II taught a brutal lesson. Thinking slows you down. Habit saves time. This rule wasn't about comfort, it was about discipline. Maintaining routine when bombs fall is hard. Keeping habits when fear says panic takes effort. That's why it worked. Routine forced people to act deliberately instead of emotionally. It replaced chaos with control, even if only for minutes at a time. In war, minutes matter. These days, modern survival culture really loves gear lists. Bags, tools, tech. There's just so much emphasis on having the right stuff. But, you know, disasters still break routines first. Power outages, well, they erase schedules. Emergencies disrupt sleep. Fear, it encourages impulsive behaviour. The World War II lesson, honestly, it cuts through all of it. Build routines that survive disruption. Eat at set times. Sleep in planned blocks. Move deliberately. Store items consistently. Practice calm responses. You don't need a battlefield to learn this rule. You just need to understand human nature under pressure. World War II didn't just test weapons, it tested minds, and the people who lived longest weren't always the strongest or best equipped. They were the ones who refused to let chaos rewrite their day. Routine was the invisible shield, the UN-issued survival tool. The rule passed quietly from those who made it through. And now it's been passed to you. If this kind of lost knowledge matters to you, if you want to think like survivors instead of spectators, subscribe to Prepper's Survival Blueprint and share this episode with someone who believes gear is everything, because the real edge has always lived between the ears.